Joining us now, Delegate Sam Rasoul. Sam is a delegate from the Roanoke area. He was on the Democratic House Leadership Committee led by David Toscano the Paisano, resigning his leadership post on Friday. Sam Rasoul notifying House Democratic Leader Toscano and House Democratic Caucus Chair Chenille Herring that he was out, didn't want to be on their leadership team, saying that Democratic leadership needs something different than they have right now. Certainly took kahunas. And joining us now is House of Delegates member Sam Rasoul. Sam, good to have you with us.
Great to be with you, John.
All right, Sam, look, I got your press release on Friday. I got to tell you, I about fell off my chair. Really the first time I've ever seen somebody just say, look, I'm not going to participate in your leadership team going forward. What's the issue?
The issue is we need to challenge ourselves in how we conduct ourselves. That we chose to, what we perceive, to fight the politics of hate and fear with hate and fear. And clearly the American people spoke on Election Day, and they're anxious for something different, especially working class families. So unless we're asking ourselves as Democrats the question, what are we going to do radically different? All the other conversation is noise.
So when you submitted your leadership team resignation, and I want to be sure our listeners are clear on this, House of Delegates member Sam Rasoul did not resign his seat from the House of Delegates. He simply took himself off of David Toscano's House Democratic leadership team. Big difference. When you did that, what was their reaction?
Their reaction was a little bit of confusion, but I think what ended up happening was a good conversation by a lot of internally by a lot of caucus members about the need for critically thinking the way we move forward. It's not so much what issues we stand for, but how we stand for them. And when we chose to run a campaign, and clearly when we run all of our campaigns, both on the Republican and Democrat side, with the level of civility, man, people are just looking and they're anxious for something different. They want to know that us politicians are really listening to them. And until we're ready to commit to that, it's difficult to get behind anything that remotely resembles the status quo.
Delegate Rasoul, are you now in a position where you might challenge Toscano for leadership?
No, this is not a political play. In fact, any politics that comes out of this, for me, undermines my message. My message isn't about trying to take any power from anyone else. I want to be part of the solution. I'm a Democrat. I believe that Democrats should be focusing on working for working class and vulnerable families. That's where our focus needs to be. And, it was unfortunate that we spent so much of this election season just trying to tear down the other side.
Right.
Regardless of if people were right or wrong, that's not what the people wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm.
The voters wanted to hear our vision for helping everyday Americans. And so we got caught up in trying to, condemn the sinner here, that we forgot about what we stand for. So we need to go back to those working class values and focus on how we're going to help those families.
So when you say the Democratic leadership needs change to recognize the needs of working families, and there's no question in this election, one of the reasons why I kept incessantly telling everybody that Trump was going to win is because I really didn't think Hillary Clinton had any kind of a message or Democratic national leadership for working class Americans other than they didn't like Trump. And I just didn't think in today's economic environment, many of these people have been hurt so bad by a lackluster economy, jobs going away, that was going to fly. So when you say you're looking for change, can you articulate for us, Sam, what that change looks like?
Well, one big thing is to make clear, I think that the downfall of establishment politics is clear. I mean, both on the Republican and on the Democratic side. And so the establishments on both sides, but, of course, I'm focusing on my side, needs to realize that we've got to be closer to the people. And we saw that infighting between our nominees. So for me, for example, why don't we have a litmus test that says, I'm never going to say anything about my adversary that they wouldn't agree with if they were in the room.
Mm-hmm.
That clearly tells people I'm never trying to trick you. I mean, business is making this evolution. For
Mm-hmm.
example, the car sales industry, they went away from the hard sale to now trying to build trust with the person that walks in the door.
Right.
They don't want you talking bad about the other brand. They want you to present objective information to you, act like you respect them. And that's the way you build relationships. We're still stuck in an old style politics on both sides, and we've got to evolve past it.
So what would be your message when you get to policy, whether it be at the national or the state level? What would House of Delegates member Sam Rasoul from Roanoke like to see different?
There's a distinction that needs to be made between what issues we stand for and how we stand for them. I'm not going to sit here and dictate what I think everyone's policies should be on the Democratic side, for example. There are lots of issues we can talk about, but clearly how we stand for them is important in trying to build trust. I mean, when you're communicating with folks, when you're trying to build that rapport, degrading the other side, attacking people, that clearly doesn't work.
So let's talk about jobs and what the Democratic message to working class families should be going forward, because obviously in 2016, it failed miserably. And when you look at the state, Sam, of the Democratic Party right now nationally, I mean, it is at its worst situation electorally since Reconstruction. There are 33 governors. The Republicans control 37 state houses. When you dig deeper than that, the Republicans had tremendous gains at the supervisor, city council, and school board level in 2016, many of these in blue areas. You look at the presidential election, there were 70 counties, key counties that Obama won in 2008 and 2012 in blue states that Trump won. So you're getting massacred all over the place. So no message to working people. What should that message be?
Well, when you're being honest with folks, for example, free trade, when it's fair, is good for everyone. The problem has been the kind of free trade that we've had hasn't necessarily been fair. And so the pendulum swings back and forth where we either have absolute free trade or we become isolationists. And if we went to the American people and we explained it to them, okay, we're going to have free trade policies that force the other side to ensure they're playing by the same rules. We're going to have free trade policies that ensures whatever losses we have a long-term transition plan to transition to other industries. But the point of free trade is for us to be able to produce more of our goods and services and export them, and then to also have other goods and services produced more efficiently that we can bring in. And everybody is supposed to win. It's not a zero-sum game. So unfortunately, because of big moneyed interests and a variety of other conversations, we have not been very forward about free trade policy.
Okay, so I agree with that, obviously, 100%. As you know, I am probably the extreme the other way. I believe in tariffs and protecting American jobs. Look, Trump hasn't even taken the oath of office. He hasn't even been sworn in, and you saw what happened, right? You got the chairman of Ford Motor Company says, well, maybe we're not going to send those jobs. Maybe I'm going to stop this plant in Mexico for some of my vehicles because if Trump gets in there and he passes a tariff system, I'm going to get annihilated. So maybe I'll just keep the jobs here in America for now. And we've got the president of Mexico saying, yeah, maybe we should renegotiate NAFTA now before President Trump just tears it up. All right. So you get all these things happening. Then let's get to the EPA and overregulation. I mean, you're in an area that has been hammered by the loss of jobs. Many people think the EPA's overreach, Obama's war on fossil fuels, coal in particular. How do you stand on that?
Well, again, my focus here is I was using the free trade example as a way to talk about how we should discuss it. There's good and bad with it, and if it's done the right way, it can be positive. If not, then it can be negative. When we take either one extreme view one way or another, and we try to pound away at that, and then people clearly see that that's not the truth. It's not best to always be isolationists. It's not best to be pure free traders. You have to be honest with the people. People can see when you're trying to genuinely give them what you perceive to be the real facts. And that's where we get caught up, right? I mean, many people dinged Hillary Clinton for being one way or another on TPP at one point or another. They've dinged, Donald Trump for changing several of his viewpoints. And the whole point is the American people clearly do not trust both parties. They do not trust the establishment. Mm-hmm. And what we all need to be doing is finding innovative ways of rebuilding that trust, because in the end, we're all Americans that have to lead this country forward.
So, House of Delegates member Sam Rasoul, Democrat, Roanoke, resigns from his leadership position in the House. Now, you were seen as a mover and shaker, basically one of the stars, upcoming stars, one of the young guns, basically, and you put all that personal elevation at risk by making a statement, which I thought, to be honest, took real kahunas. I mean, this is what statesmen are made of, so I'm really impressed by your move, no question. How does that leave Sam's political future moving ahead?
John, I'm a child of immigrants. I came from nothing, so I have nothing to lose. I'm here to serve the people that I grew up with, to alleviate the suffering that I see day in and day out. And if I can't keep it real and feel like I'm doing that all the time, then, it's clearly a waste of my time. Life is short, man. You got to stand for something. So, what's the point in lying to the American people?
Sam, where did your mom and dad immigrate from?
They immigrated here from the Middle East in the 60s. Mm-hmm. So me personally, here I am. I'm one of those guys who one could argue has been maybe the target of some of the negative animosity from the right. But I'm sitting here saying that, hey, we cannot sit here and just dwell on name calling. We have to get way past this. We've got to rise above the rhetoric. I think everybody looks at the 2016 campaign on both sides and feels sad that that's what our political process evolved into. So that's what I want to be a part of, is an America and American politics that evolves into something that people can be proud of.
Well, I tell you what, Sam, your move took a lot of guts, and I'm very impressed by it. And you're now bestowed lifetime membership on the John Fredericks Radio Network. You can come on my show whenever you want, because you have placed your own career and the politics of ascension on the back burner of what you believe is the right thing for your party and your constituents. And man, you can go a long time in this business without finding anybody that's willing to do that. So I commend you for that. Absolutely. You can come on my show, Sam, whenever you want.
Well, thanks, John. And thanks for trying to keep everybody honest. I think we all need to do that on both sides.
All right. That's going to be it. Sam Rasoul, Democrat, House of Delegates member, Roanoke, represents the 11th District, resigns from leadership of the House Democratic Caucus because he said, if you keep going down the same path, you're going to end up in the same place, and I'm out, calling for change to address the needs of working people in America and in his district. Thanks, man. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
But this guy's got kahunas. I'll tell you that. I'll be right back. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network.